Namaskar, welcome to Insight Connect, the show. And right after Labor Day weekend, especially the day that we dedicate to appreciate the contributions of labor force, how that tradition came about and where it is leading us in the direction where we want to go after COVID. In fact, that impact still lingers, but the process of rebuilding America has begun. The economy is showing some positive signature, but who will take it forward after November is something that is to be determined by all of us put together. And to talk about so far where we have come in the context of rebuilding America, I'm fortunate to be welcoming two panelists, and one is joining me here, an entrepreneur himself, Vimal Goyal ji, namaste, swagat hai, and financial professional Paresh Shah ji is also with us. Namaste. As I welcome both of you, we will begin by talking about the new dynamics that we have regarding economy and the role of labor force in the technically dominant world where internet seems to be playing a major role, be it artificial intelligence, be it data management, and then again we look at geopolitical situation causing a rift between nations, bringing new equilibrium in terms of trade equations between America and China, and the whole world is in a state of flux. Airline industry has also seen a dent in the way it was serving the consumer. The whole world has changed. So let us begin by how labor force is trying to overcome the challenge that has come at their doorstep due to COVID, and what has already been done and what should be done for small entrepreneurs. We will talk about that also. Beginning with you, Bimal ji, how do you see where we are in terms of our efforts to counter the impact of COVID under the leadership of President Trump?
Well, right now, as we see, it has been over 5-6 months since COVID started, beginning in February or March. We have seen a lot of changes, and what it is we have a lost generation of young people who are far worse off than their parents, and that's the biggest challenge we have, because they don't see a future that they were seeing before February, that they will graduate, they will go on to get a job, and then they will be in the job industry. When you have millions and millions of people unemployed in this country because of COVID and because of what happened after that, it's become very difficult for young people who are coming out of colleges, graduating or already graduated. They don't see a future. They don't see what is going to happen to them. When you have people unemployed who were employed before, how are they going to get jobs in the economy? So that's the biggest challenge we have. And that's why we need to do something to help these people. We have to do something to support them financially and make them stand on their legs. So whatever we have to do, either find a job for them or develop some businesses, support businesses, and support the industry, which this administration has been very successful in doing to some extent, but it takes time.
Absolutely. Vivali, I'll come back to you. And Paresh, he raised a very important point with respect to the potential employment opportunities for the newcomers on the block after completing their education. In that context, situation sometimes appears very bleak. If you came from India and you were pursuing some course here, planning to sort of build your American dream or starting off from there, which has been the case, that is one side of the population. But overall, in terms of, we are getting the news that gradually the employment is picking up. So overall, how do you see where we are with respect to this challenge is the situation dark, there are some silver linings, Parishji.
So, first of all, Ashokji, thank you very much for having me on this show. And it's an absolute honor to be presenting with Vimalji. So, to add to what Vimalji just said, that today we are at that inflection point, you know. The first thing is that if you look at the stock market is clearly showing what is benefiting and what is not. So those businesses which rely primarily on people working for them versus technology working for them have seen, so the ones with technology working from them have grown 37% more in price from the bottom as compared to those with people working for them. Like, say, for example, the airline industry or the hotel industry or any such industry. So the growth that has taken place in any way or shape, form has been in technology related businesses. So those businesses will continue to hire. We have seen a growth in the areas connected with medicine, of course, where healthcare workers, and also in the area of the pharmacies and the pharmaceutical industry wanting more people. So those industries will see an uptick, while what we are seeing a downtake is going to be in the areas like, as I said, airline and hospitality. The further effect is actually the biggest dampener that worries me in a way, is that today we are finding a lot of people working from home, and there is a whole economy associated with people going to work, right from the time you take the transport to, that means the cars, the gas, the food that you buy, the evening drinks that you have. There is a whole economy supported by those particular actions of people going every day to office and coming back. With the entire change taking place, that us having to go into a complete remote workforce or into a hybrid workforce, we are seeing that there might about 15 to 20 million jobs might never come back. And that, I think, is a big worry, because those are not the skilled workers. And so it's not a question of even retraining them to do something else. So I think that how this all plays out in the dynamic of the whole country is going to play a major role in how our economy leaps back to its areas of strength.
Absolutely, Parishji. I think you have raised another important point, starting with Vimalji, where he talks about lack of opportunities for the new graduates, and then you also talk about we have more potential for tech-driven businesses as compared to where we have the labor force, which means those who were working in these industries will find themselves under the pressure to reinvent themselves to survive. But there should be some guiding structure, some training process. We will talk about that later, but let's come back to where we are in terms of day-to-day labor force working for restaurants, for small business, and Vimalji, what is it that government has done so far for small entrepreneurs?
What government has done, and this is really amazing, what administration has done as well as Congress has done, they had issued a PPP loan, as you are aware of, which is for the payroll support, and that actually helped the economy over the last 3-4 months, because it ended at the end of last month, and then the whole support fell off, and then, but they're still getting unemployment, which is nice to have, but still a lot of people who were depending on that money has dried out. So that PPP loan has gone. The only thing it really did very well was that it helped the employers to keep those people employed. And then people who were not employed, they were able to collect money from the government, and they were able to pay the rent and the food and everything else, which really helped. So in addition to that, what this the Congress did was they gave them EILD loan, which is basically loans that were given by SBA, and those loans could be from $2,000 all the way to millions of dollars, depending on your payroll and your need. And that loan does carry with the interest on it, but interest is not due until next year. And that really helped these businesses stay in business. However, all the support, even though it did so well, so many small businesses who did not get that money, they had to close their doors. And that really hurt them. So it will take time for these businesses to come back, and I think Congress needs to go back and give them more support to keep them in business, and that's very important for the economy.
Absolutely. And I think what Vimalji reminds us is of a kind of support from the government to help them stay afloat and counter the challenges posed by COVID. And Pareshji, as you mentioned, there are multiple businesses which are dependent on your walking out of your doorstep, and either you are commuting or you are eating out, or you have meetings, you have celebrations. So if all that is not happening, then in spite of all the support which government's stimulation package has accorded to stay above the water is going to be difficult, and we don't see a clear-cut end of this tunnel at the moment. So looking at the government's role in helping small business owners, based on what you have heard from maybe your friends or your clients, how do you see where are they focused in terms of finding solution to this kind of uncertainty which looms ahead?
So that's a great question, because one of the things that our federal government, unlike most countries in the world, one of the things great about United States is that we learn from our mistakes. Okay, so the 2002, 2008, 2009 crises, the financial crisis and the debt crisis, brought to the surface that the government needed to take quick action in certain areas. And the government has done that. The things that were already talked about, the PPP loan and the EIDL loan. But besides that, the Fed has stepped in and introduced almost $2 trillion into the debt market, and in some cases the ETF market, in order to support it, the exchange traded fund market. Now what this does is, in turn, it ensures that lenders don't necessarily have to go after the borrower in order to get that money back when those assets are falling. Right. So the bond prices are falling. So they've been able to capture that back a bit. Not only that, if you have an existing SBA loan, or even if you're taking a new SBA loan, for the next 6 months you do not have to pay any interest. The interest or principal payment that you have is being paid for by the SBA on your behalf to the institution. So that's another support out there. So in a way, they were able to stem the rot in several places in the last few months. However, it's again a learning experience. So I am finding that as they are going, they're introducing newer and newer methods of program. Like the interest rate is currently low, so we might see a spike up in some of the refinance activities. We're already seeing it on the mortgage side. We are seeing that people who are at home and are not doing too much are trying to do work on their home. We've seen the largest number in 2 years and the largest number of first home building permit. So we are finding that people are moving from the cities into the suburbs and from the suburbs into the interior. So that is spurring another type of economic activity. So there, yes, it is an unknown place, but the government has done what it has thought to be correct. Not necessarily everything plays out, but I think that in terms of economic support, the lessons of 2008 and 9 were very clearly understood, and quick actions were taken by the government. The effects of this will only be seen in the future, and I do agree with Vimalji that a lot more needs to be done, and they need to do this on an ongoing basis up until some time. But at the outset, I think they took some very large measures and they got things going. So maybe we might not see jobs like restaurants returning so quickly, but maybe we'll see those people getting employed in construction of homes, you know. Absolutely. Maybe we might not see people working.
Parikji, I appreciate that input, and I think you have brought us to the point where there is some compliment for the current administration in terms of its quick thinking and realizing what needs to be done to set things back on the track, and it has been unusual and a learning experience for everyone, that includes government as well as small business owners. So we'll talk about both sides, Vimalji. Let's talk briefly about, based on your observation, the way they identified how to move forward and the package that was issued. How it is likely to play out in terms of voters going to determine who should lead the nation in November? Do you see any correlation between the two? So where would you put the score for the current administration? That is number one. And number two, do you see any major discrepancy in terms of your expectation to meet this challenge, which you felt is not yet visible?
There are two things that really matter to most voters. One is the economy, and the second is employment. So these are two things that on everybody's mind when they go to the polling station. Now, we do know that some states are geared toward their blue states and red states, and it's very difficult to convince a voter to go the other way, and you will have certain states that are going to be blue and certain states that are going to be red. So now those are states: Florida, Arizona, Wisconsin. And if you saw Mr. Trump going to Wisconsin and Arizona in the recent past, and that was the reason why he's trying to get voter attention. So those are the things that will matter the most.
Allow me to interrupt you, and I don't want to take away your narration, so I'll give it back to you. But there was an unusual situation in Wisconsin, and there were riots,
yes.
And then he went to, so that is a different context. We may connect it, but I still feel that it has an independent sort of face at the moment, because it's a very sensitive issue, and again it is going to sort of reflect on voters' decision, but that's a separate issue for the time being. So coming back to leaving aside this analysis, if you objectively, from your point of view, if you see the way they played out their cards in terms of what they could have done, how would you rate them over a scale of 0 to 10?
Well, I actually I rate the administration recently. What they have done is up 8 on a scale of 10. Because I think initially in February and March, the administration really kind of avoided the whole epidemic. They thought this wasn't going to happen and we were going to be able to just avoid it, not have any problems. But then when they realized in March and April that this thing is going out of control, that's when they started taking action. But what administration has done since that time, April to now, is really commendable. And I see American people seeing that what administration has done, taken steps after steps after steps, and not only one thing, but all kinds of issues, drug industry, pharmacy industry, trying to find a cure for this, and starting with the testing and all the equipment they need. That made a big difference in how Americans feel about this administration.
I appreciate that. And Parikji, let me bring to your attention that based on what I understand about Vimalji, he's not very sort of fond of President Trump. He may disagree at the moment, but based on what my previous interaction. So him coming up with this number 8 tells me about his credibility in terms of objectively analyzing as per his understanding. And you may see it the way he sees it or differently. So you have your chance, one, to score current Trump administration with respect to their handling of economy post-COVID. That is one. But another important thing which relates to this about small business owners, from their point of view, they have their own set of challenges which are related to uncertainty, as well as you earlier said, some of the jobs which were there may not be there in near future, which would affect everyone, because we all are in an interdependent state of existence. So, your thoughts about its likely impact on the coming elections, touching these two aspects.
So I would like to piggyback on what Vimalji said by first saying that, a recent poll showed that when people were asked, has the Trump administration handled the COVID-19 crisis well, 57.1% gave disapproval, with about 39.5% giving their approval. Then again, when we go to the Republicans who gave their approval, it was 80% plus. Democrats who gave their approval, it was 7.8%. and then the key number is the one which Vimalji mentioned earlier, independents. Independents currently give about 37 to 39% of independents give their approval to Trump, others do not.
So just quick interruption. So there are two sides to it. One, addressing economy. Another, handling COVID with respect to the way it is medically, biologically, and taking cognizance of what might work, what might not work. So I think he has not scored well on this side, because some groups have said that he has not approached it in a scientific manner and have probably gone ahead with his guts. So that is one side. But here Vimalji was talking more from the economy point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So economy point of view, I would say 8 or 9. Even 9 is a great number for what they have done in terms of so far, in terms of helping the business at least maintain or get better. So I'm very comfortable with that. Again, as I had said a little earlier, in the pandemic side, he dismantled the pandemic workforce task force when he came in 2016 and 2017. And that is the major reason why we have a disaster on the pandemic response side. So I think that what I think is important to know is that how are the two interlinked, Ashokji? And the two interlinking is that people will vote for an incumbent when they feel they are secure. And they will not vote for an incumbent when they will not feel that they're secure. Their personal lives are not secure.
Absolutely.
Lives, economy, their jobs, etc. And that uncertainty for a large portion of our workforce is what's swinging things away from President Trump, if at all. So I would just put that humbly out there, that the response to the pandemic and the job creation is there, but the uncertainty which is still existing, which Vimalji has already talked about, is the one that is causing things to move away from President Trump for the moment.
So in my view, it would ultimately boil down to your inclination, because how you interpret whether they could have done something differently would also be glued to how you perceive the person, the personality, the party, and that is where the reference of polarization comes and all that. But let me now switch gears, and in the last few minutes that we have, Vimalji, what way you have seen small business owners might have not seen this opportunity with purity of intent, like this PPP loan, and then there is this word furlough. So talk to us about that, and I believe there have been some cases where small business owners didn't connect with government in the spirit.
Yeah, what happened is that a lot of small business owners were not able to get the benefit of these incentives. And part of the reasons was, number one, is not having the knowledge of how to approach. Number two is a lot of businesses like farmers or rural businesses, they don't have proper records to show the payroll, because SBA requires everything to be documented and provided to them before they could issue loan. And so that was one of the issues that a lot of small businesses were not successful in getting. And another thing is, a lot of immigrants who don't speak English very well, they don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to get the professional help. And due to COVID, no one was able to meet them or help them, and they really closed the businesses down and could not continue. And that's the main street America. There are a lot of businesses in rural areas and small businesses. They make up such a large amount of this economy that it hurts everybody. And still they're not able to open. They're not able to come back. The landlords still want to charge the rent. And they're not getting any help. I know in some states like New York, New Jersey, governors issued the laws, they made laws and issued the notices that landlords are not required. Landlords are supposed to waive the rent, not supposed to go after them up until they are able to go back on their feet. So that's where businesses have lost. And I think what Congress needs to do is to help the small businesses more, under $1 million sales. And those are the numbers that will help the small businesses. Administration has given billions of dollars to airline industry, to hospitality industry, to bail them out, and which was a good thing because they employ large number of people, and so they were able to keep them, not have to fire them. Even though now we're getting news that some of them are being furloughed and some of them are being let go. But all these months, people were able to pay the rent, people were able to buy the food, support the families because of all the bailout money.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, and we just have 2 minutes to go, and very briefly, Pareshji, any advice that you may have for someone who is an entrepreneur, or in general for the students who are looking to start with a new career? Any advice, psychological or practical?
I'll quickly go through some things, and of course we're continuing to do some education for business owners in the coming days with this regard. But one thing is definite, business valuations will fall. This may be a good opportunity to look at expanding your businesses by taking over some of the businesses where the business owners may not want to continue because of the crisis. Second may be that the health insurance premiums are definitely going up. Be very wary of that. We also expect property casualty insurances to go up because while we have seen that people don't have jobs, but the number of disasters, natural disasters that are taking place across the country continue to rise, and the damage on them in the billions of dollars continue to rise. So we are expecting more property and casualty insurance premiums. So all in all, I'm saying that, you know, business owners need to be very cognizant of the coming days in which business valuations will fall, need for personal savings will go up, and costs of insurances will rise. And with all that in mind, I just see that there'll be it'll be two sides of a coin. You know, those who rise will rise a lot faster, and those who fall will go down faster. So try to be on the right side.
Appreciate that, Pareshji, which means one should be alert and being vigilant about what is being offered by the government and what are the signs that you can see on the surface, and sort of reposition yourself or rebuild the structure of your business with the help of some experts. And indeed there are various sources of government which are out there to extend help for free, but you should be open, one, to know about that, two, to reach out to them and take your own initiative to stay afloat and succeed. So Vimalji, I appreciate you for joining us, and thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pareshji, for being a part of this significant conversation. We wish rebuilding of America to take place at a faster pace because it involves each and every one of us. It involves our lives, and beyond politics also the growth journey should continue, and polarization should not affect the spirit to succeed together, is what is my humble submission. Once again, thank you my panelists, and thank you all of you for being a part of this conversation. This is Ashok Vyas.
Thank you, Ashokji.